Okay, let's start. Let's start our session today. Are you ready?
Yes,
My voice is clear?
yes,
Yes, it
clear.
is clear.
Okay, let's start our session today. Today, we are going to talk about National Teacher Training Program, NTTP, Year 3 Training, Tag 1, Session B. Let's start. We are going to follow these steps. Please mute yourself. Sign in on time. Keep the mic muted. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Okay. Listen. Look at the screen. Raise your hand if you want to speak. Don't draw on the screen, please. Use nonverbal feedback if you want to speak. And the last one, don't interrupt, respect each other. Let's start with our agenda today. Our agenda today, we start with an icebreaker. This is a puzzle. The second is deductive and inductive learning. This is a video about deductive and inductive learning. The other videos about different approaches, we talk about them in the last session. And the last one is feedback and an action plan. Let's start with our session today. We start with, how are you feeling? Please look at the screen and try to think. Try to answer this question. How are you feeling? Try to think of the words. How many words can you write? I'll give you 5 minutes to look at the screen and try to find the word. I give you the chance. You have 5 minutes. Try to make them. After that, I'll ask you to say the word. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Who can speak? How many words can you find in this puzzle? What are they?
Mr. AbdulWahab.
Okay,
Mr.
Ms. Sahar.
AbdulWahab.
Okay, Ms. Sahar.
Okay.
You
The
start.
last column on the right. Yes.
Say, how many words?
Disappointed.
How many
I have
words?
recognized 2 words up to now.
2 words. Okay. What are they?
Frustrated, and disappointed.
Okay. What else? Another person. Another participant. Huh? Mr. Hani. Go on, Mr. Hani. You raise your hand.
With
Okay.
2
Mr. Hani.
words,
2 words. What are they?
excited and happy.
Excited and happy. Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Hani. What about you, Mr. Brahim?
Yes.
Mr. Brahim. Mr. Brahim. Can you speak?
Let me find another word. The previous Mr. have
Hani?
said them.
Okay. What else? Huh? Great. I give you chance. Huh? Another person. Mr. Hani,
Yes.
Mr. Brahim. Another who is speaking? Miss Fatma. Go on, Miss Fatma.
Yes. Yes.
Go on.
Three words. Excited.
Excited.
Disappointed.
Disappointed.
Happy. Happy.
Okay. Another person. Huh? What else? What else?
Yes, Mister.
Okay. Who's speaking? Miss Nafisa. Go on, Miss Nafisa.
Nafisa.
Okay.
Excited. Disappointed.
Disappointed.
Worried.
Worried. Great.
Frustrated.
Okay. What else?
These 4 words.
Okay. Who want to speak? Miss Nagla. Can you speak? iPhone. Please write your name. You raise your hand. Can you write your name, please?
Yes,
iPhone.
sir. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
iPhone. What are these words?
I can read about 5 words.
What are they?
Worried, right, VP.
Okay.
Why did TV happy?
Happy. What about Miss Nagla? Nagla Abdulazim. Can you speak? Miss Nagla, can you speak? Please, after you speaking, mute yourself.
Can I speak?
Okay.
Can I speak?
Go on, Miss Abir.
Yes, I found a new one. Died.
Okay.
Died. D-I-E.
Okay.
Yes.
Please mute yourself. If you couldn't speak, please mute yourself. Okay. Now we can find the word excited, nervous. The other word is upset. Sorry. The other word is worried, and another word is frustrated, disappointed, and the other happy, and there is the word calm. Let's start our session today. Deductive and inductive learning, please. What is the difference? I'll ask you the question. What is the difference between deductive and inductive learning? Please, let's watch the video, listen to the video, and try to give me a summary. What is the difference between deductive and inductive learning? Listen carefully, please.
Hello there. Today we are going to learn about deductive and inductive approaches.
The voice is clear? You hear the voice? My
No,
friend?
no, it's not clear. It's not clear, mister.
Okay.
Not clear.
Okay, I have a problem.
It's not clear. It's too low.
Okay. I have a problem. Is that clear now?
There are two main ways that we tend to teach grammar.
Okay, is the voice clear now?
Yes, it's okay.
Yes, it's good.
Okay.
In deductive or inductive way. Both teaching have their pros and cons, and which approach we use when can depend on a number of factors, such as the nature of the language being taught and the preferences of the teacher and learners. The inductive teaching approach in ELT and ESL is a sort of discovery learning that focuses on the student. For example, an instructor might use or show a few examples of grammar points in English and then ask students what they notice. Let's see an example. A teacher writes on the board a few examples of simple present and simple past sentences. The teacher then asks the students what difference they notice in the sentences. The students discuss the differences and maybe even try converting some simple sentences from present to past on their own. A deductive approach is more teacher-centered learning where the points of English grammar are explicitly stated to the student and then tested. Once the grammar is introduced and explained, the students usually complete grammar exercises to become familiar with the pattern. It means a teacher writes examples of simple present and simple past sentences on the board. The teacher then proceeds to explain the differences between present and past in English. Once the lecture is complete, worksheets are handed out and students are asked to convert simple sentences from present to past. There are clear differences to the inductive approach and deductive approach in grammar teaching. Inductive tends to be more efficient in the long run, but deductive is less time-consuming. Much depends on the teacher and the student. Okay, this is the end, and I hope you like it. Bye-bye.
Okay. What is the difference between deductive and inductive learning? Who can give me the answer? Quickly, this is a summary.
Okay, Mr. Abdulwahab.
Please, Ms. Sahar.
Yes.
Please, give a chance
Okay.
for other person. Miss Iman
Okay.
Khairi. Miss Iman Khairi, can you speak?
Yes.
Okay, Miss Iman, answer.
Yes, the inductive learning, it focuses on the student.
Okay,
It's a learner-centered language.
okay,
The deductive focuses on the teacher. It's a teacher-centered learning.
okay. Thank you, Miss Iman. Another person,
Thanks.
can you speak, Miss Soha? Miss Soha Al-Bayoumi, can you speak? You raise your hand. Can you speak? Okay. Another person who can speak. Who can speak? Who can? Mr. Ibrahim, can you speak, Mr. Ibrahim? Mr. Ibrahim Abdullah.
Maybe I'm going to talk. Deductive approach
Okay.
is a centered teacher learning.
Teacher-centered learning. Okay.
The teacher is the main player
Okay.
in the learning process. Okay.
Okay.
Inductive students are the main players in this process.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. Mr. Wael. Mr. Wael Rida.
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Wael. Can you speak, Mr. Wael? Mr. Wael, you raise your hand. Mr. Wael Rida. Can you speak? Mr. Wael Rida. Can you speak? Miss Najla Abdulazim. Can you speak?
Okay, Mr. Yes.
Mr. Wael, go on.
Yes. Deductive approach concentrate on the teacher. It
Okay.
can use to teach grammar, and the inductive approach can concentrate on the students, and can students express about themselves on other information.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Another idea. Who can speak? Miss
Yes,
Ragla?
Mr. AbdulWahab. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Rida. Okay.
Yes.
Go on, Mr. Rida.
Inductive approach, it is a sort of discovery learning focused on learners.
Okay.
Here, the learners are the source of information.
Okay.
And deductive, here, the teacher centered this approach. The teacher is the source of information. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Rida. Is there another idea? Can you give us another? Can you add us any Information else, Ms. Sahar? Ms. Sahar, can you speak? Okay.
Yes, Mr. AbdulWahab.
Go on, Ms. Sahar.
Okay, deductive process is a direct or method for learning. It is a teacher-centered process for learning. It consumes time, doesn't need much time in classes. However, inductive learning is a student-centered process. It gives students a chance to discover language or discover the materials they are dealing with themselves, and they go from specific items to the generalization. So it gives them much time to practice the language freely.
Okay.
So it's they are apart. These approaches are apart. One for the teacher, and the other gives the students a chance to practice what are they learning.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Sahar. Thank you, Ms. Sahar. Let's go to the other. We are going to watch some videos. What is this approach called? What are the stages of this approach? Now listen to me carefully and try to think. What is this approach called? What are the stages of this approach the teacher used?
Or no, I don't like. Yes, I like. I like. No, I don't like. Very good. Chilies. 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 French fries. Noodles. Noodles. A. Do. 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 You. Like. Very good. Like. Broccoli. Do you like broccoli? Very good. Do you like broccoli? Teacher Sally. Broccoli. Teacher Sally. No. No. I don't like broccoli. No, I don't like broccoli. Very good. Come on. No. I don't like broccoli. No. I don't like broccoli. Very good. Well done. Brilliant. Okay. Strawberries. Do you like strawberries? Okay. Question. Teacher Sally. Strawberries? Yes. I like strawberries. Yes. Yes, strawberries. Okay. Yes. I like strawberries. Yes. I like strawberries. Very good. Okay.
Okay. What is this approach called, and what are the stages of this approach? Does this teacher use it? Can you speak, Mr. Wael? Go on, Mr. Wael.
Yes,
Okay, go on.
this approach is the deductive approach. The stage, yes, the stages are
I agree
the
with you.
teacher
What,
gives a model.
Please, Mr. Wael, what is this approach? From the last
Yes.
approach, we called it BBB or TTT or guided discovery. What do you think? What is this approach called? I think this is a deductive approach. I agree with you.
Yeah.
What is this called?
Yes. Grammar As I think grammar and translation.
Okay, go on, Mr. Wael. We hear you. Go
Yes.
on.
Yes. Strategies. The stages are teachers give a model.
Okay.
Then number 2, check understanding. The third, correct the mistakes. And making feedback.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wael. Is there any idea?
Yes.
Okay, who can speak? Thank you, Mr. Wael. Who can speak? Can you speak, Mr. Ibrahim? Ibrahim Abdullah, you raise your hand. Can you speak? Okay. Another person, Miss Sahar. Mr. Hani, can you speak? Can you speak, Mr. Hani?
I'm talking, man. I'm talking, man. I'm talking.
Go on,
I'm talking. I'm talking, please.
Okay, go on, Mr. Ibrahim.
I think it's a guided discovery.
I
think it's a guided discovery, okay? Because the teacher or this technique, the teacher gives examples, okay? Provides examples of the language items, and the teacher helps the learners to find the rules themselves.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. Another person who can speak. Can you, Miss Sahar? I'm sorry, Miss Sahar. Mr. Hani, please, Miss Sahar. Can you speak, Mr. Hani?
Yes.
Go on, Mr. Hani.
Yes. First of all, it's a very, very boring lesson. Very.
It's a very boring lesson. Why?
Okay.
Why do you think that?
Why? Because yes, it's first it's a PPP method. Approach.
Okay. I agree with you, Mr. Hani. This is a PP. This is a presentation, practice, and production.
Yes.
What else? Give me another idea. What are the stages of this approach?
Okay. Stages she used.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. The stages she used. First, she introduced the words, the new vocab, and then she starts to make examples for students to follow. But she failed to make the open or close dialogue. She failed to involve the whole students into the lesson. All the time she is talking and the students are repeating after her. That's very, very, very boring one.
I agree with you. This is one of the disadvantage of this approach. It's very, very boring. Some learners think it's very boring for them. Another one who can speak. Thank you, Mr. Hani. Miss Nagla, do you want to speak?
Yes.
Go on, Miss Nagla.
I think this approach is more suitable for lower level learners. It's easy for new teachers.
Okay, I agree with you. It's very, very, very suitable for lower learners. I agree with you. Who can speak? Another idea? Is there anything else, Miss Nagla? Thank you, Miss Nagla. Miss Sahar, do you want to speak?
Yes, Mr.AbdulWahab.
Go on, Miss Sahar.
Okay, I think this teacher used a reductive approach or learning style in its very worst phase. She used the PPP approach to present the language or the item for the students. She depended on only drilling. All the time she talking and the students are repeating after her, nothing else. So there is no pair work for students to practice the language or even group work. So I think it's, as my friend said, it's poor and boring. Poor teaching method and boring lesson as well. No practice for the teacher. I think she consumed much time doing the same idea or the same item. She did a lot of efforts. I think it's in vain. I think after the class has ended, the students get nothing to say or to practice.
Okay.
So I think it's not suitable even for lower level students.
Okay, it's suitable for lower students. Let's go to the
it's not
second.
useful even for low-level students. I think they have to practice. Even low learners, they have to practice something in class.
I agree with you. She can give them a chance to practice their language.
Yes.
Okay. What other another one? What is this approach called? What are the stage of this approach? Please listen to it carefully. Please. What is the matter? Okay. Listen
Do you
carefully.
find planning lessons stressful? If so, today I'll tell you how to plan your lesson using the approach test, teach, test. Hey everybody, you're watching my YouTube channel where I talk about teaching foreign languages. So if you are new here, you may consider subscribing. So let's talk in detail how to plan your lesson using test, teach, test approach. Here are stages and aims of your lesson. The first stage is leading. You may show your students a video or ask them some questions in order to generate interest of target language. The next one is test. Here you may give your students exercises such as fill in the gaps, categorizing, ask your students to rank vocabulary, answer questions, or maybe transform sentences, etc. And the purpose is to understand what your students know and what they do not know. Actually, you test them. The third stage is feedback, and also it is called teach. Here you teach your students and you give, of course, feedback on the first test and you teach problem areas. The next one is test. Again, you may give your students exercises such as to ask your students to fill in the gaps, rank vocabulary, answer questions, categorizing, gap fill, etc. And your purpose is to provide students with controlled practice using target language and again to understand and to see your students' progress. And the last stage is freer practice. Here you may have some talks, discussions, role plays, etc. And of course the aim is to provide students with freer practice using target language. Have you ever tried the approach test, teach, test? If so, share your experience with us in the comments. If you like this video, share it with your friends or colleagues. And see you guys on Thursday.
Okay. Let's start. What is this approach called? I think it's clear. What are the stages of this approach? Who can speak? Who can speak? Who can speak? Who can speak? Okay, who can speak? Miss Sahar only. Don't speak, please, Miss Sahar. Give a chance for
Okay.
others. Okay, Miss Nagla. Can you speak? Go on.
Yes,
Okay.
I think it's a test, teach, test approach.
Okay.
It's a deductive and inductive approach.
Okay. It's inductive approach.
Learners complete a task or activity without help for the teacher. From the teacher.
Okay. Please mute yourself. Okay, go on, Miss Nagla.
Yes, it's a good approach for viewing language.
Thank you, Miss Nagla. Miss Iman Khairi, can you speak, Miss Iman?
Yes, Mr.
Go on, Miss Iman.
This approach is called test, teach, test. There are some steps of it. The first is to make students watch some videos to collect language.
Okay.
The second is a test. It's a feedback to know their how they are progressing.
Okay.
And fill in the gaps.
Okay.
The last one is freer practice using the target language.
Okay. Is there anything else?
No,
okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Miss Iman. Another ideas? Who can speak? Who can speak? Who can give us another idea? Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Gamal, to share us this session. Thank you. Can you speak, Miss Dr. Muhammad Gamal? Can you speak? Okay, another one. Who can speak? Who can speak? Dr. Muhammad, can you speak?
Hello?
Okay,
Yes,
go on,
yes.
Mr. Dr. Muhammad. Thank you. Go on.
Nice to be with you.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Okay. This approach is, I think it's very useful for both teachers and students. It is visible and it tends to the learners of videos who are interested in pictures and listening or watching videos according to their learning styles. Most of students are interested in watching videos for on screen. Okay, they are interested in yes to show them videos. Listen, the answers of questions are very good to involve most of the students in this approach.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad. Thank you. Thank you so much. Another idea, is there anyone can speak? Okay, who can speak? Miss Iman speak. Speaks. Who can speak? Who can speak? Who can speak? Who can speak? Miss Soha, can you speak, Miss Soha? You raise your hand. Can you speak?
Yes, Mr.
Go on, Miss Soha. We hear you.
I think this approach is very useful for pupils which can improve their language about or after watching some videos. This best education technologies enable teachers to do more with fewer resources and enable pupils or learners to benefit more benefits.
Okay.
And learn يعني
Okay.
is a useful way to improve our learners about using education technologies. I think so, يعني.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Soha. Thank you, Miss Soha. Another one who can speak. Another one who can speak. Who can speak? Who can add some information for us? Who can speak? I'll ask another one. Thank you for sharing and practice sharing this session, Mr. Tawfiq. Can you give us any information, Mr. Tawfiq? Do you hear me, Mr. Tawfiq, our supervisor? Thank you for sharing us and participating with us in this session. Let's go to the another one. Mr. Tawfiq, can you speak?
Yes, Mr. AbdulWahab.
Mr. Tawfiq, we hear you.
Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be with you.
Okay.
And thank you for your effort, Mr. AbdulWahab.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Really, I enjoy sharing this session with you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, this approach or this strategy is very important for students to check their understanding.
Okay.
But I want to say something. As for this, please don't focus on testing students all the time, because unfortunately, our way of learning is exam-oriented learning. So sometimes it's a very important, but when can we use it? At which part of the lesson? Is it at the warming up stage, presentation stage, or at the feedback? When can we use it?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes I agree with you, and sometimes I disagree with you. This approach, I think it is inductive approach. It helps learners to use language. The main idea of our program is help learners or teachers to speak English. Don't make them at the stage of exam only. We ask them to practice using language. In this approach, we can use language. We help learners to use language. We have some steps. We start with lead in. She gives them a video or a picture and ask them to understand the target of this video. This is the main idea we are going to talk about. After that, she gives them exercises to check their understanding. What they are understanding. The last one, she teach them how to solve their problems. She touch some problems and she try to solve this problem and gives them another practice, free practice to practice and control practice at first, and the second free practice to give them a chance to express themselves and talk about themselves.
My question is that, Mr. AbdulWahab, when can we use this way or this strategy or this approach? In which stage while presenting the lesson? Is it better to use it at the warming up or at brainstorming or at presentation? This is my question.
In my opinion, I think it's suitable for all the stage. We can start with it and we can finish with it. In my opinion.
So it depends.
Okay.
So it depends.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tawfiq. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Let's go to another approach. What is this approach called? Please listen to it carefully.
Let's get started. Step 1 is the pre-task. The pre-task stage should mentally and linguistically prepare your students for the upcoming task ahead. There are many ways to do this. In this demo, I show you 3 ideas.
Okay. What makes a good party? Jorge? Okay. Food.
Idea number 1 would be the use of brainstorming with a word web.
Okay. In your groups, I want you to keep going. Okay? Keep going. What do you think? What are some things that make a good party?
Brainstorm idea number 2 would be the use of pictures and/or discussion questions.
Okay, let's take a look at picture number 1. What are they doing? Good. All right? They are ordering. All right? They're ordering food for the party. Good. Another one.
And perhaps the most common activity would be idea number 3. Having your students read or listen to a model text that mimics the language they will use in the task ahead.
Look at the picture of the people. What do you think we're going to listen to? Yes, all right, we're going to listen to them plan a surprise party. Good.
In stage 2, you will prepare your students to be able to complete the upcoming task on their own. In order to do this, you need to give very clear directions. I commonly give each group 1 piece of paper with a step-by-step handout or a checklist for them to follow.
First, I want everyone to get into groups of 3. All right, first get into your groups. You're going to follow the handout. And then after, give us maybe 10-15 minutes. Okay, you're going to present your party idea to the class. Are you guys excited? All right, it's going to be fun. Let's get started.
In this important stage, students begin to independently build their task. Group collaboration and creativity take hold, and generally it's the fun and exciting part of the task. I quietly circulate around the room and make note of any weak or strong language features on a clipboard. Make sure that you encourage use of the target language. After this, the students will then act or present out their tasks. It's the point where I hope they proudly display their creativity and stretch their language abilities in doing so. As a teacher, I continue to remain low-key and continue to quietly take notes on the language being used. It's a fluency activity, so I don't commonly interrupt unless asked for help. If set up well, the stage is fun and engaging for everyone. When I'm done, my clipboard is often covered. To keep me organized, I take notes into categories. Only the most important language features get addressed. Always point out both strong and weak language features. To complete the activity, I address those key language features on the board with the class, and we reflect on the language we've learned through completing the task.
Okay. What is this approach called? This is the first question. What are the stages of this approach? Who can give me the answer? Who can speak? iPhone, can you speak? Mr. Sayed? Sayed? Mr. Sayed Al-Adl? Your name is Mr. Sayed Al-Adl?
أنا تفاح.
Okay, Mr. Faha, please write your name. Okay, go on, Mr. Faha. Say what is this approach called?
I think it's TBL approach.
TBL approach. Okay. What else? What are the stages?
We can do tasks. Learners work in pairs or small groups. They can examine and discuss what they learned before.
Okay. Is there anything else? Okay, thank you, Ms. Tufaha. Another one. Who can speak? 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 Okay, who can speak? Who can? Another person. Miss Hasna, can you speak, Miss Hasna?
Yes.
Go on, Miss Hasna. We hear you.
I think it's TPL and it's inductive strategy.
Okay.
It draws on learners' knowledge and language, but this task has a long time.
It has long time. Okay. Another one. Thank you, Miss Hasna. Miss Iman Khairi, you raise your hand. Miss Taha, you raise your hand. Can you speak? Mr. Rida Zarif, go on, Mr. Rida Zarif.
Yes,
Mr. Rida, please, Mr. Rida, give the chance to Miss Iman, and I'll ask you after she. Okay? After her, I'll ask you. Go on, Miss Iman.
Yes, Mr. This approach is called task-based learning.
Okay.
There are some steps to follow this approach. Number one is the pre-task. And number two is the task preparation. Number three is during task. Number four is post-task. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to speak, Mr. Rida? Don't speak, Mr. Rida?
Yes, I think this approach is called TBL.
Okay, what else?
The stages here are pre-task and during the task and post-task.
Okay.
Pre-task here, the teacher creates interest in the topic. The teacher models the task. And during the task, the learners can work in pairs or in groups to do this task. And at the last, post this approach at the end, the class gives feedback and the teacher draw attention to the language.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Rida. Thank you, Mr. Rida. I agree with you. This is called task-based learning, and we have some steps: pre-task and task preparation during the task, and the last one is post-task. At the first, the teacher used brainstorming. He gives clear directions, and they try to check they are follow the directions. They divide them into groups and ask them to present their ideas in a limited time. After that, she makes sure that they use the target language. They ask them to make sure they are engaged in the task. After the last one, teacher conducts practice of new words and phrases for them. Let's go to the second one, the other one. What is it's called? And I give you a chance to.
Mr. AbdulWahab.
He's very attractive. Okay? So you listen to that sentence. You're gonna stand up and you're gonna take the word good looking, and you're gonna tell me Alex is good looking. Is
Is that right?
Yes.
So would you like to stand up?
Okay. Don't push it.
Don't push. So be aggressive. I'm gonna play this audio, okay? Listen up. Lesson B, exercise 1. 1. My neighbor thinks he's better than everyone else. Okay, so give me the sentence.
Yes, Rosie is an arrogant teacher.
Was that Rosie? It was my neighbor.
Yes, my neighbor.
No point,
teacher.
no one. Okay, no one, I'm sorry. Listen up. The Spanish out.
Oh, sorry. I'm with the audio people.
My mom takes 2 showers a day. Yes, Rose.
My mother is neat.
Excellent. Perfect. Listen up.
Learn from me.
Tommy likes partying and meeting people. Partying and meeting people. Hi, Billy. Sorry, teacher. Okay, don't worry.
Mark? Mark is outgoing.
Exactly. Mark is outgoing. Hi, Billy. Hi, teacher. Listen up. 4. My best friend knows math, science, and computers.
Yes. My best friend knows.
My best friend
is smart.
Excellent. Very good. Point for Alex. Next one. 5. Some days Peter doesn't change his clothes or combs his hair.
No, this is coffee. Peter.
I'm so sorry, Alex. Next one. 6. Mary gets at people. She's not very nice.
Mary is arrogant.
Excellent. Mary is arrogant. Next one. 7. Jessica is always looking at mirrors.
Jessica is vain.
Jessica is vain. One more. I had a very light lunch. It wasn't enough. Yeah. No? Yes.
I am impatient.
No? Yes.
No, I didn't get enough.
Yeah,
lunch. I didn't eat
so she's
lunch.
impatient to it. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Now, I am going to give you a positive. This is for you. Let me. Can you translate?
Yes, sure.
Can you turn? Stop. Yeah. What are you trying to do? No extra points for you.
Your paper.
Oh, your paper as well. Your paper because this is a Okay. Ready?
Ready?
Yes. Your papers again. Oh, yes. Heavy mask. Yes. So, you're gonna come, please.
Alright, turn. Your paper is down.
No, your papers are back.
Really? Mine too?
Yeah.
No.
No, yours is there. So Alex, let me help you.
With a push me, teacher.
Don't be aggressive, mister. Okay, so I need you to get a marker. Everybody get a marker.
Yes.
But you're gonna work on your partner's back. Careful with the clothes, okay? We're gonna write down. Yes, we're gonna write down at your partner's back one characteristic they have. But be careful. Do it like this because of the clothes.
Yes.
So go ahead. Call your partner. Write one characteristic. Everybody has to write one.
One of these, teacher?
One of those. Careful with the clothes. Careful with the clothes.
Yes. Finish.
Go. Listen.
Oh, there are more? One of them? Face.
Okay. So meaning, okay? Ready? Okay. This is what you are of your part. You are like Alex. And that I
Good. Me?
Excellent. Yes, of course.
People say is
is smart and dirty.
Okay. Please, other participant who has a mobile, please write your name in the chat box. Some iPhone, I don't know what's your name. Oppo A15, Oppo A1K. Please write your names in the chat box. Please, other participants, write your name in the chat box. It's very difficult to know your names. Silo, what is your name? I don't know what's your name. Please write your name in the chat box. Let's start. What is this approach called, and what are the stages of this approach? What do you think? Who can speak? Can anyone speak? Can anyone speak about this approach? Is there an idea? Who can give me any ideas about this approach? Can you Miss Abir Ahmed, Mr. Ahmed Mansour, Mr. Ashraf Abdul Fattah? Who can speak? Miss Abir, what do you think?
Yes.
What is this approach called?
I think it's a TBR approach.
TBR.
And I think it's
okay.
TBR approach. Yes, and I think it depends on the learner's reactions. Maybe.
They depend on their reaction. Is there an idea?
Yes.
Who can speak? Thank you, Miss Abir. Another one. Who can speak? 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 Another one. Who can? Who can? Who can? Who can? Can you, Miss Soha? Miss Fatma Atif.
Yes, Mr.
Go on, Miss Soha. Go on. We hear you.
Yes.
Go on.
I think this is physical responses.
This is lexical approach. Do you think it's a lexical approach? I'll ask you the
I think they use the physical responses in teaching and learning.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Soha. I'll ask Miss Fatma at first, Dr. Muhammad, and I ask you after Miss Fatma. Go on, Miss Fatma.
Yes, Mister. I think it's a game-based approach.
Okay. What are the stages? Okay, thank you, Miss Fatma. Dr. Muhammad Gamal, do you want to speak? Dr. Muhammad, can you speak?
I think it's game-based learning.
Game-based learning. Okay. What are the stages, do you think?
Yes, Mister.
Please, Ms.
Yes.
Saha, give a chance to Dr. Muhammad to speak. Dr. Muhammad, what are the stages do you think the teacher used in this approach? Thank you, Dr. Muhammad. Ms. Soha, do you want to speak?
Yes, Mister. I think the teacher gives the rule.
The teacher gives the rule.
The teacher. Then the learners do and act as they followed their rules.
They follow the rules. Okay. This is we called iPhone. Do you want to speak iPhone? iPhone. Do you want to speak?
Yes, sir.
Go on, Miss. What's your name? iPhone. What's your name, please?
I am Miss Nora.
Nora, please, Miss Nora. The second time, write your name, please.
Okay, thank you.
Go on.
I think it's a TBR approach.
Okay.
To do something physical response language.
Okay, thank you, Miss Nora. Mr. Tawfiq, do you want to speak?
Yes, Mr. AbdulWahab. I think it's a fun learning approach.
Fun learning approach.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree with all of you. This is called lexical approach. If you the first the teacher asks them to observe the pictures on the floor and ask them to listen to the context, to work out the sentences, to work out the sentences or functions of the language. After that, he asks them to write some about the sentences, write some sentences about the pictures at the back of each one. If you look, and this is ask them to practice and arrange free activities to have fun. Okay, let's go to the second approach. This is the last one. This is approach. What is this approach? Sorry.
Food. What word can come in front of food to describe different kinds of food?
Delicious.
Okay, that's good. Can you think of some more?
Spicy.
Okay, that's nice.
Salty.
Good.
Sweet. Healthy. Healthy.
What's the opposite of healthy?
Unhealthy.
Francesca?
Unhealthy.
Unhealthy. Okay. Sometimes food's got a lot of something bad in it. What's that?
Fast food.
You can have fast food, yes.
Terrible.
You can have terrible food. Chips and hamburgers have got a lot of what in them?
Fried.
They are fried foods. What have they got inside them?
Fat.
Fat. Okay, they've got a lot of fat in them. What's the word that goes in front of food? It's not fat food. What can you say?
Heavy food.
You can say fatty food. Okay. Ice cream. What's that? Pizza.
Tomatoes. Cake.
Can you make a sentence comparing two different kinds of food here? For example, can you compare ice cream and tomatoes? You can think about these words here.
Tomato is more healthy than ice cream.
Okay. First word?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes
Tomatoes.
is are
Okay, good.
are more healthy.
You said more healthy. Can you make that in one word?
Healthier.
Does that? Can you tell her?
Tomatoes are healthier than ice cream.
Okay.
Tomatoes are healthy than ice cream.
Okay, what's the first word?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes
With an S, yes. Tomatoes.
are healthy than
What's this word?
healthy.
Healthier.
Healthy.
Everybody, listen. Healthier.
Healthier.
How many syllables in that? How many syllables? Is it 2 or 3 or 4?
Three.
Healthier. 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 How many is that?
Three.
3. So tomatoes are healthier than ice cream. Okay?
Tomatoes are healthier than ice cream.
Good sentence. Thank you. Can you make another sentence comparing ice cream and tomatoes? Maybe Bao, you make a sentence?
Tomatoes are delicious than ice cream.
Okay, nice idea. We need to correct the grammar. Okay, what was the first word?
Tomatoes
Okay.
are delicious. More delicious.
Good.
More delicious.
Tomatoes are more delicious.
than ice cream.
Okay, whole sentence.
Tomatoes are more delicious than ice cream.
Okay, good. Now whole sentence quickly.
Tomatoes are more delicious than ice cream.
Very good. Tell everybody.
Okay. Tomatoes are more delicious than ice cream.
Is she right?
Yeah.
You agree?
No.
You don't agree? You don't agree? Okay, can you tell her what you think?
Ice cream more delicious than tomatoes. Ice cream. Ice cream. I don't know what I need to use. Is or are?
What do you think?
Ice cream.
Ice cream is.
You think is? Yes? Yeah, she's right.
Yeah. Ice cream is more delicious than tomatoes.
Okay. Ice cream is more delicious. What's this word?
When?
Then.
How do you spell that word?
Then.
How do you spell it?
T-H-A-N.
T-H-A-N. Listen to the pronunciation. Than ice cream. Than ice cream. Than ice cream. What was your sentence?
Ice cream.
Sorry, it's the other way. It's okay.
Ice cream is more delicious than tomatoes.
Than tomatoes. Ice cream is more delicious than tomatoes. More delicious than tomatoes. Danielle, is she right?
Yeah.
You agree. Okay, now let's make a sentence comparing heat.
Okay, let's go to our questions. What is this approach called? What are the stages of this approach? Who can speak? We have Mr. Tawfiq. Mr. Tawfiq, can you speak?
Great to discover.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Go on, Mr. Tawfiq.
I think it's a 3B's approach.
Okay. What are the stages?
Uh,
Do you think?
the teacher gives instructions. The teacher presents the lesson or the task. Then he asks students to give sentences. After that, he asks students to say sentences or to make sentences. Then students correct each others. Then if there is a mistake, he doesn't interrupt. Then he asks students to correct each others. So he encourages fluency.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tawfiq. Thank you so much. Who can speak? Can you, Mr. Hani? Please, Mr. Wael. Do you want to speak, Mr. Wael? Mr. Wael Rida?
Yes.
Go on, Mr. Wael.
I think this is the guide discovery approach.
This is guided discovery approach. Okay.
Yeah.
What are the stages of this approach?
The stage is here. The students introduce the title and ask general questions about the food and introduce some items to use this to teach vocab, grammar, and pronunciation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wael. Do you want to speak, Miss Sahar? Do you want to speak, Miss
Yes,
Sahar?
Mr. AbdulWahab.
Go on, Miss Sahar.
Okay. Yes. I think this teacher used the direct method.
Direct method. Okay. What are the stages?
First of all, he gives them the idea of food, the word food, and he listed some words related to food. Then he used the word combination to deduce or to deduce the structure or the grammar, the comparative adjectives. Then he moved from the grammar to the fluent and focused on vocabulary and used the word combination to give to elicit some more vocabulary from the students. The process of correction mistakes here was self-independent for the learners themselves. They correct each other freely. Okay? At the end, he gives them a feedback. He gives them feedback about the grammar and the vocabulary as well.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sahar. This is a guided discovery approach. This is called guided discovery approach. The teacher gives them a word and asks them to write the word related to this word. After that, he asks them to create sentences using these words, I correct them. I give them the chance to correct each other. I give them self-correction. After that, I think it is a very, very, very useful approach for learners and for teachers. The teacher feels satisfied of this approach. Let's go to our feedback. Which one of these approaches do you use and why? Which one do you think the learners prefer it and why? I'll ask you to choose which one do you prefer and which one do you think your learners prefer it. I'm sorry. Who can speak? Who can speak? We are 6 approach. Miss Iman Abdulrahman, do you want to speak? Miss Iman Abdulrahman, do you want to speak?
Yes, I think guided discovery approach.
You think guided discovery approach is suitable for you? Okay. What about your learners, and why you use guided discovery?
I think they practice more.
It gives a chance to learners to practice more and use language.
Yes.
Okay, and it is a part of inductive learning approach. Give a chance to learners to practice more. Can you speak, Mr. Tawfiq? We hear you. Go on, Mr. Tawfiq.
Yes, Mr. AbdulWahab. I think it depends.
It depends. Depends about Depends about learners.
It depends. It depends. It depends about the task itself.
About the task.
Sometimes, sometimes we need to use different approaches to present different tasks, and it depends also on students.
Okay.
Sometimes some students may learn while using this strategy or approach. Others need to use another approach, so you should vary your techniques.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You mean that you make a balance between choosing approach?
Yeah, so it depends on the situation itself.
It depends on tasks and learners, or their abilities or their level. Do you think
okay.
so? Okay. Thank
yes,
you,
Mr. Tawfiq. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Another participant, another teacher. What do you think? Which one do you think it's suitable for you? Mr. Hani, do you want to speak? Mr. Rida. Go on, Mr. Rida, and I'll ask Mr. Hani after you. Go on, Mr. Rida.
Yes.
Go on. Which one is suitable for you?
I think TBL is very, very important. Why?
TBL. Okay. Why?
Why? Because when the teacher divides the lesson into 3 parts, pre-task, during task, and post-task, is very important for the teacher and the learners at the same time. For the teacher, he can, at pre-task, he can present what he wants to do in this lesson. And during the lesson, he can make some activities for the learners to practice. And at the post, he can, the learners can give a feedback for the lesson. And at the end of this lesson, the teacher can write a report about this lesson after 3 stages, pre, during, post. And by that, he can know the level of students in a good way.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rida. Mr. Hani, do you want to speak, Mr. Hani?
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, Mr. Hani, go on.
If we concentrate on the lesson that is last video, task-based approach, yes, task-based learning, the lesson needs the task-based learning. It is a must to use it. But what about if we want to practice with another way of lesson or another topic or a reading topic? What should we do? So we should vary our methods or approaches to deal with the lesson. So I agree with Mr. Tawfiq.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Mr. Hani. Ms. Sohal Bayoumi, do you want to speak? Ms. Sohal, do you want to speak?
Yes, Mr. I agree with Mr. Tawfiq. Yes. Yes,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Okay. We
Yes,
hear you.
Mr.
Okay, we hear you.
Yes. I
You.
totally agree with Mr. Tawfiq because each lesson has its approach that is suitable for it. So I can use all these approaches, each one suitable for each lesson. Yes, Mr.
Okay, thank you, Miss Soha. Another participant, another one who can give us his or her idea. Dr. Muhammad Gamal, can you give us your idea? Miss Busaina Mitwalli, can you give us your idea? Who can
Yes.
speak? Who want to speak? Dr. Muhammad, in your opinion, which one do you think it's prefer for you and for your learners? Your voice is not clear, Dr.
Guided
Muhammad.
approach is
You prefer which one of them?
yes.
Go on, Dr. Muhammad. We hear you.
Guided discovery approach.
You agree with that? You can use guided discovery and you prefer it.
Yes, it allows learners to engage with software programs, different techniques, encourage their motivation, encourage to involve most learners. It tends to be in the learning process. Not just to live.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Muhammad. Thank you so much. Another one who can give us his opinion. Mr. Yasser, can you speak? You can speak. Miss Khalida, who can speak? Another one who want to speak? Who want to speak? Huh? Another one who want to speak? Miss Sahar, do you want to speak, Miss Sahar?
Okay.
Go on, Miss Sahar.
Yes,
We hear
I'm
you.
here.
Go on.
Okay. I agree with all my friends and with Mr. Tawfiq. There is no specific approach that can be said as the most important one or the most useful approach for learning. We can use many approaches to teach our students. It depends on their levels. It depends on their learning style. It depends on the material we are dealing with at the same time. But as for me, I prefer streamy approaches like guided discovery, task-based learning, and test. As Mr. Tawfiq said, our learning is exam-oriented, but here we can use the test, not test as lexical word means. The test can be a task. Students can do exercise like role playing or dialogue modeling or even songs and chants can be a test for the
Rearrange. Okay, I
yes.
agree with Miss Sahar.
Okay, some tasks also can be fun, like acting or modeling or something like that. It is not a rough task with a paper and pen, write and ask and answer. No, it's not like that. I think learning language is practicing. Our practicing is the main factor in absorbing the new language. So students must practice the language well, even in the class or outside it. In the class, it is a teacher's responsibility to pave the way for his students to practice the language. So, task-based learning, our teach test, and guided discovery are very useful opportunities for the students to practice what are they learning.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sahar. Thank you so much. I agree with all of you. It depends on the learners and the tasks, but I like Ms. Sahar. Prefer some different approach. Myself, I used teach test in my classes. I think it's very important for me to teach the learners problem and try to solve them. This is one of the best way to teach the problems which you face in your learners, and how can you solve them. Thank you so much. Let's go to the last part of our session today, an action plan. This is a lesson in grade 2, unit 10, I think so. See why it's beautiful. And we have 3 questions. Which approach do you use to teach this lesson about Siwa is beautiful? What activities would you use that all your students are engaged in this lesson? If you can use technology, how would you use it to facilitate teaching this lesson? Who can speak? Who can speak? I want other participants to share us their ideas.
Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Rida Zarif want to speak. Go on, Mr. Rida Zarif. I want another
Yes.
participant. Go on, Mr. Rida Zarif.
Yes. Here, I think lexical approach here is very, I can use it in this lesson because
okay.
Lexical approach.
Okay.
It is, yes, this approach depends on knowing the meaning of the new vocab. So, number one, I can put the new vocab in some different sentence to know the meaning. The new vocab like oasis, desert, fresh water, and shapes. Shapes like triangle, rectangle, and square. If the students know the meaning of the new vocab, I think they will know what is this passage talking about. I'll ask the learners to read the passage, and then I'll ask them some questions like, where is Siwa? WH question. Yes or no question. Is it in the Western Desert? Does it have a fresh water? And I think lexical approach is very important here, from my point of view.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rida. Please, Mr. or Miss Cello, I'm sorry if I pronounce it correctly. Please close your video. Open your mic and close your video. Please, Mr. or Miss. Hello, please. Please close your video and open your mic. It's depends on you. What else? What do you think? What is which approach? Miss Heba Ahmed, do you want to speak? Miss Heba Ahmed, don't speak.
Yes,
Go on.
yes,
Go on,
yes,
Miss Heba.
Mr.
We hear
I
you.
agree with. I agree. Yes.
Go on. We hear you.
I agree with Mr. Rida. People must know the meaning first. This interactive processes of constructing meaning that involves producing and receiving and processing information.
Okay.
I think this technique. Yes, Mr.
Go on. We hear you, Miss Heba. Go on.
This that achieves and I think the achievement of good classroom techniques make people who interact understand each other and more easily to communicate well.
Okay, thank you, Miss Heba. Another one who can give us his opinion. Miss Soha, raise your hand. Do you want to speak, Miss Soha? Miss Hanan Ibrahim Muhammad, do you want to speak, Miss Hanan? Miss Busaina, do you want to speak? Miss Lubna Said, do you want to speak? Miss Nafisa, do you want to speak? Miss Nayura Nashat, Nura, رضا متولي، رضا رضا ظريف طبعا ده حبيبنا كلنا.
Yes, Mr.
Go on, Miss Soha. Go on. We hear you. Voice today.
Yes, Mr. I can use, yes, I can use in this task, for example, technology, as I can use a video about Siwa or a song that will involve pupils or learners in the task and give information about Siwa. And then ask about what can they hear. For example, what do you know about Siwa? Where is Siwa? Such as this, for example, using education technologies as a Twitter, a Facebook, or a video about Siwa. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Soha. Another one who want to speak? Who want to speak? Another one. Today, Miss Sahar. Do you want to speak, Miss Sahar?
Yes, Mr. Ibrahim.
Please, Ms. Sahar, please give a chance to Mr. Ibrahim to speak at first, and I'll ask you at last. Okay? Mr. Ibrahim, do you want to speak? Go on. Go on, Mr. Ibrahim. عليكم السلام.
Yes, Mr. AbdulWahab, I think perhaps I use the audio lingual approach to introduce the hearing script. Okay.
Okay.
And we may use maps. We may use computers. Okay, websites, pictures or charts to talk about the place, the Siwa.
Okay.
Is
there an idea?
enough.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. Go on, Ms. Sahar. Ms. Sahar, if you want to speak, go on. We hear you.
Okay, Mr. Abdulwahab.
Go on, Mr.
I think TBL approach can be useful for teaching or for dealing with this lesson.
Okay.
TBL.
Why do you think?
Okay, first of all.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, the teacher can make brainstorming for some words, as for dessert, or sand, or cheese, or like this. Then the new vocab can be introduced with pictures.
Okay.
Then in the presentation stage, the teacher can give the students some video, or let them watch a video about the oasis or about Siwa. The students watching the video, students is taking notes about their progress. Then he can ask them about what do they get from this video, what do they get about Siwa, what the video adds to them. Then he can give them some examples or exercises as gap filling or matching words with the picture to make sure that they understand the new vocab and they get the idea of Siwa, like keywords like oasis, like desert, like friends, like something like that.
بطلع في تلفون.
Then after the task, students, can I go on?
Go on. If you want.
Technology can be used here, either videos or presentation, PowerPoint presentation. Some aids also can be used away from technology, like flashcards or pictures. Another approach can be used here is guided discovery. The approach here depends on the level of the students and their age and the stages which they are in, whether it is primary or secondary. Here we are dealing with, I think it's the primary stage, grade 2, yes.
Okay.
So I think TBL is suitable for their level. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sahar. Is there an idea? Someone else want to speak?
Yes, Mr. AbdulWahab.
Mr. Rida, please, Mr. Rida, give a chance for other participants. Please, you speak at first. Okay. Let's ask another participant. We have 1 hour and a half. Another one. Who want to speak? Ms. Dawlat Ibrahim, can you speak? Ms. Afaf, Mr. Muhammad Ibrahim, Mr. Hani, we hear your voice, I think so. Mr. Who wants to speak? Who? Mr. Rida?
Yes, Mr. AbdulWahab.
Go on,
Yes.
Mr. Rida.
Yes. For using technology for this lesson, from my point of view, I will use overhead projector. I will design a picture of different shapes of houses and ask the people some questions, or the students some questions. What can you see? Are these houses in different shapes? How many houses are there? And I'll ask them to read a passage about Siwa. At the end, I'll ask them some questions, yes or no questions, or W questions about the passage. And at the end, I'll ask the pupils to give me a summary for this passage if they can. And there are some activities I want to know to do for this lesson. Number one, raise on and don't raise your hand. I'll say some sentence about Siwa. If the sentence is true, raise your hand up. If the sentence is wrong, don't raise your hand. This is number one, the activity number one. Number two, I can make a contest inside the classroom among the students. How? I'll divide the class into 5 groups, and each group will take a piece of paper. I'll ask them to write down 4 facts about Siwa from the passage, and I limit the time, for example, 5 minutes. The first group is the winner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rida. In my opinion, the target of this lesson depends on not depends on Siwa the same. It depends on different shapes and different colors. He wants to learn colors and shapes from different houses and the shapes from different houses in Egypt, and choose Siwa as an example of Siwa is beautiful. If you look carefully at the picture, you can see it concentrates on shapes and colors. Thank you, my dear friends. Thank you so much. See you soon, inshallah, in the second session, inshallah. Thank you, my dear friends, Mr. AbdulWahab, and I am very proud to share your ideas today. I'm very proud you practicing and participating my session today, and I have another something amazing in the second session, inshallah. In the second session, we are going to talk about pronunciation. I hope all of you attend the session. It is very wonderful. I prepared it the last year. I think it's very wonderful for all of us and amazing. Thank you all my dear friends. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sorry. We have lots of time today. We have one hour and a half